There's something incredibly special about a game that comes out of left field and completely surprises you. An experience you weren't necessarily expecting, but are so pleasantly surprised with that you had to sit down and talk about it. Hey there friends, it's Codiak here. Welcome to Legacy Gaming. Today, we're diving into The Wandering Village, a charming and incredibly unique city builder, to find out if it's worth your time. Let's just plant our flag right off the bat. The Wandering Village is absolutely worth your time, and if you're a fan of city builders or simulation games, then you absolutely need to pick this game up. Truth be told, there's no use burying the lead, since I'll be gushing about this game from this point on. Now, no, the team behind the game, Strafe Studio, isn't paying me a dime to play or talk about this game, but as content creators that truly believe in the heart of the indie movement, Livid and I try and spotlight as many great indie games as we can. It's easy to get sucked into the cycle of covering AAA games, but honestly, it's exhausting, which is why stumbling across a game like The Wandering Village is such a pleasant surprise. But enough about the why and the how, let's talk about the what, the real reason you clicked on this video. The Wandering Village takes your pretty standard city building blueprint and completely changes the perspective of the experience. Instead of picking a starting point on some map akin to a game like RimWorld, you instead start each journey on the back of Anbu, a massive dinosaur-like creature. Its back is your home, and with that comes a few different challenges. First is that while Anbu provides, Anbu can also take away. It's a symbiotic relationship that becomes more important the further along in your adventures you get. At the start, simple things like harvesting the spikes on its back for rock can cause a little distrust, but give it some time and you'll be trying to manage this massive creature's hunger, energy, and health. The relationship is crucial because of the second challenge of living on a giant's back, exploration. After a brief grace period, Anbu will get up and start walking, and this is really where the Strafe Studio team really nails the multi-layered approach to this game. If you zoom all the way out, you have the world map. Anbu trudges forward no matter what, but what path it takes and how fast it moves along that path, well, that's something you, as the player, can help control. Problem is, you need to build up that trust, and that's not something that happens overnight. By zooming in a layer, you're able to interact with Anbu directly. Using trebuchets to launch food into its mouth, hot air balloons to distribute medicine, and a massive horn to issue commands, you're able to interact with the creature on a basic but effective level. And yes, before you ask, you can pet the Anbu. That was actually one of the team's first stretch goals during their Kickstarter campaign. What started as a €30,000 goal turned into a huge €156,000 investment, and from what I've seen of the early access build, they're in great shape to deliver on their lofty promises. If we zoom in one final time to the city building, I think this is going to be a familiar experience for most people that have dabbled with the genre. It's not an overly complicated system, but there are nuances that make the game more than challenging. For example, as Anbu moves throughout different biomes, you have to adjust what crops your farms grow or risk not having enough food to feed your villagers. Speaking of new villagers, you also need to be actively looking for any opportunities to bring them into the fold. This requires you scanning the world map for roaming nomads or sending out your own scouts via the scavenger's hut to find them and bring them back. Nothing is overly complicated, but it's all interconnected, and that, to me, is the mark of a better city building simulation experience. Truth be told, I don't need a million buildings to keep the experience fresh if the core gameplay loop is tight, and that's exactly how I feel the aspect of The Wandering Village is presented. At the time of writing this, right at the start of the game's early access period, there are 40 research nodes players can unlock across 3 different trees. Village research ties directly into housing and feeding your people, while also giving you new ways to tend to the land on the back of the Anbu. Resources, as you might expect, allow you to unlock all manner of buildings that give you access to new materials or improved efficiency harvesting materials. Finally, Anbu Research gives you access to new commands and new ways to feed and deliver medicine to Anbu. Again, it's all pretty straightforward from a city building perspective, but I think the unique nature of the game gives the developers a lot of flexibility to expand endlessly if they want. Things like taming birds and trading with flying merchants are both ideas they present on their Kickstarter, which haven't yet made it into the game. And like I said, we are just hitting the start of early access, so new content is most definitely still in the works. Now, I do want to be fair in my review of the game. I've already admitted that I love it, but The Wandering Village still has some room for improvement, specifically with the simulation side of things. What I do like is that there's already a competent priority system that allows you to guide your villagers towards specific tasks and actions, but that system doesn't get much deeper. For the most part, you simply assign your worker to a building and then they do that job. You don't have a lot of control over how and when they do that job, or if they could be doing other jobs when the right circumstances arise. I will say, as an avid fan of RimWorld, I think we've all been spoiled with how incredible that game's work management system is, and I would love to see a little bit more control injected into the Wandering Village. The priority system is a start, because I've played games where that doesn't exist and it's abysmal, but the team should go further. The challenge here is that die-hard fans of simulation games want control. The more control, the more micromanaging, the better. Whereas more casual players want to make sure the systems from a foundational level work. On the latter point, I think the game is on the right track. There are certain things that still need some tweaking, like proper alerts when there's an opportunity to bring in new nomads, but for the most part, things boil down to simple quality of life changes that can be made quickly enough. My point is this: if the team is catering to a more casual audience, then they've hit their mark. But as they progress through early access, I would encourage them to think about deepening the controls within the established systems, something more hardcore fans can tweak to their heart's content without disrupting the casual experience. You might take one look at the Wandering Village and think the game is relaxing and casual, devoid of any challenge, and I'll admit I thought that at first myself, but after 3 failed runs in a row, I started to realize the game's much more challenging than I was willing to give it credit for. Keep in mind, I was playing on the game's adept setting, medium for those of you at home, and this struck the perfect balance of challenge and fun. As Anbu trudges forward, you'll run across various obstacles that keep you on your toes. Building that relationship with the beast is hugely important because if something like a poison cloud or tornado crosses your path, it has the potential to completely derail your run. The different biomes also provide a refreshing challenge. Not only does it impact the temperature like we talked about before, but you also have to worry about the humidity and toxicity of the air and ground, all things that affect your village in Anbu. What I'm driving at here is that the game has plenty of challenge and is by no stretch a walk in the park. It does take time to get used to the nuances of caring for Anbu, but it really boils down to 3 things. Is it fed, is it healthy, and is it sleepy? Pretty much what you'd expect from a giant pet. If you do manage to master the relationship with Anbu and learn to fluidly navigate between the 3 different layers of the world, I have no doubt your experience with the Wandering Village will be just as enjoyable as mine has been. I know we led with this, but it bears repeating. The Wandering Village is a charming and unique take on the city building simulation genre, and a game absolutely worth your time. So there you have it, our honest take on Stray Fawn Studios' new game, The Wandering Village. If you found this worth your time review helpful or enjoyable, do me a solid and hit that thumbs up and consider subscribing. There are still a few more games coming out in 2022, and if you're looking for a new take on some of the year's biggest games, we've got you covered. I also want to let you know that our 2022 Leave a Legacy charity event is set for Saturday, October 22nd. For a second year in a row, we've partnered with Connecticut Children's to help bring the joy of video games to kids at the hospital. Mark your calendar, set a reminder, and be sure to join us on Discord to stay up to date with everything regarding our upcoming event. That link, of course, is below. My name is Codiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.